everyone? This is Micah from This Divided World, and this is a Q&A video. I posted a couple different statuses on getting some questions from you guys that you wanted me to answer, and some of them to some degree I've answered here and there before, but this will kind of be like a collection place or whatever for your questions. So there's like 20 some 30 or so questions, so I'll try and get through them all. Might make this into a two-part thing. We'll see how long it takes and how it goes. Okay, first question is from Spencer. He says, when did you get into metal? Probably like 2004, 2005. Maybe a little bit after that. I was kind of listening to a lot of screamo then, so it was a progression that I got into metal. What was the first metal band you started listening to? Killswitch Engage. I actually posted kind of a video about that. The most recent video before this. What's your favorite genre of music? Probably deathcore metal. I love how intense of a genre it is, how intense of like music and stuff like that. It's just such like an extreme thing. I guess that kind of speaks about my personality. What's my least favorite genre of music? I'm gonna say this with some reservations, and I hate to jump on bandwagons, but probably country music, and not necessarily because of the musical aspects. Actually, there's a lot of really great musicians in country. I just can't listen to like overly sappy and like just like I don't like the lyrical content and stuff like that. And what's one genre of music you'd like to completely destroy? I don't know, like poser metal, I guess, but to each his own, so everybody likes their own stuff, I understand that. Justin asks, what's my favorite brand of mayonnaise? I don't really have a favorite brand of mayonnaise, but I definitely prefer like real mayonnaise over that salad dressing stuff, so any of the real stuff. Jethro asks, will this band ever become a full band and tour? It's a possibility. I've talked about it. I have talked to different friends in different like Christian metal bands and talked about it before, and it's a possibility, but it's never really, it's not going to be the goal, and it never has been the goal for this Divided World. Michael Brown asks, is there any way you'll branch out to any other genre of heavy music, or are you going to stay loyal to deathcore until you're done making music? This Divided World's always going to be deathcore. From the last album, When Darkness Reigns, you can hear a lot of my metalcore influence. You can definitely hear the death metal influence and all the core stuff, hardcore, and all the breakdown kind of stuff. But this Divided World's always gonna be deathcore. It's always gonna be the direction. It'll go, different things like this new EP that I'm working on. It's gonna be headed in a little bit of a different direction, but it's definitely gonna be deathcore. Ryan asks, what's your favorite non-metal band? Easy, Dashboard Confessional. First band I ever got into, and I'll always listen to Dashboard Confessional. It's like my favorite thing to listen to before I go to bed. And he also asks, how did you come to find God? What's your testimony? I'm not going to answer that here. I'm going to make a separate video at some point for that one. Shane asks, deathcore or death metal? It is kind of a tough question. I do really love death metal, but there's parts about death metal and some stigmas about death metal and stuff like that that I'm really not fond of. So I'm gonna take deathcore. I really love breakdowns. I love where deathcore is headed. It has at different points been a gimmick genre, and some people consider it to be like a flash in the pan. People are like deathcore is dead, and to some people it is, but I think it's gonna be around. I think it's its own separate entity. It's different than death metal. It's different than metalcore, it's different than hardcore, and it's different than a culmination of them. It's really its own thing in a way. So yeah, deathcore over death metal, but I do really like death metal. Didn't always, but I do now. George asks, what's the word on finding a new vocalist? Well, I'm really not looking for a new vocalist. Basically, I've probably said it a few different times, but I'm gonna have different guest vocalists for this upcoming EP. That's just kind of how I'm going to operate from now on. I'm just focused on the next release, and as far as finding a new vocalist, I think maybe I would like to eventually find a new vocalist, but it's just, if you guys have been in bands, you know that being in bands with people is really difficult. It's a lot of juggling, and so it's just difficult to find people that are headed in the same direction, want the same thing as you. Shane again asks, everyone what's one band that everyone loves that you can't stand, or vice versa? I don't know if I really have a band that I love that nobody likes, and one that, I don't know, I always knew a lot of people that were into Tool and stuff like that, and I never liked Tool, and I always thought people that listen to Tool were Tool. Just kidding, but kind of serious. But as far as like one band that I like, I don't think I necessarily specifically love a band that everyone hates on, but like a lot of people don't like vocalists that sing really high and kind of have like girly voices, but I always kind of like that. So there's a lot of people that really hate that, and I kind of like that in the right context. Billy Williams asks, what was the most inspirational moment in your life other than coming to Christ? And definitely would say that was the most amazing thing. It's kind of a tough one. I've definitely had different moments in my life that were like snapshots. I'll always remember it. Um, I guess one thing. I guess I'll give two quick little things. The most inspirational like lyric that I used to like cling to before when I was younger, probably like 15, yeah, 15 or so, was a song, a lyric from the Used song "The Taste of Ink," and it says, as long as you're alive and care, I promise I will take you there." And I always thought that that was from Bert, the vocalist. He was speaking to music, and he was saying like, as long as I can make living my life from doing music as a career, like I'll give you everything if you just like, I mean, it's kind of like a bonding, a relationship, and I always thought that that was really inspirational. And something that's not necessarily inspirational, but inspiration kind of works in two different ways. You can either see something or someone that you want to be, or see something or someone that you never want to be. And I remember I went and saw Chiodos at a concert in Rochester, and just can't really explain it, but I just knew when I saw them from their I saw their vocalist Craig Owens, is it? I can't remember what his name is, but I realized in that moment that I never wanted to be him, and I never wanted to. I don't know. It just felt like being fake, like he was an actor. Like, and granted, you're putting on a show, a performance, especially when you're the vocalist, lead vocalist of a band. But I always knew that I never wanted to be like famous and like to become like that rock star mentality, where you're like you see yourself as being above your fans and like disconnected and stuff like that. So I guess that was inspirational. Um, got a question that says, how did you pick up vocals? Well, I'm not really a vocalist. I think some people are kind of confused on that, including the next question, but I actually did used to be a vocalist. Maybe I'll like link a video of me when I was like probably 17 or so. I was doing vocals for this band. I just did it by trying it. Like, I was listening to a lot of like screamo bands at the time, and I would do like quiet, like kind of that whisper scream stuff that was really big like 5 years ago. And then one time I just like put a lot of air behind it, a lot of like stuff, like just really push it like from a diaphragm below, and it became a scream. Like, I don't really scream the right way. I do it so it hurts my vocal cords, but picking up vocals by just like listening to a bunch of different vocalists that you like their scream and then just trying to imitate them. And then Giovanni asked, why did Micah leave the band? Obviously, I'm Micah, so I didn't leave the band. I think he was meant to say Mark, and I made a whole video about that, and I'll link a bunch of these videos because a lot of these questions I've answered at different points. But Mark's engaged; he's getting married this summer, so just didn't really have time. He was already working 3 jobs, and we were just heading in different directions. So yeah. Okay, Brandon asks, what made you decide to start playing such aggressive music? It's two part. I'll answer that one first. I love the intensity. I love how extreme it is, how it really sticks out. Um, you can't really like meditate. It's not background music that you put on that you like ignore really. Um, it's just like I just loved how extreme breakdowns were. Like even though they're simple, they kind of make you stop what you're doing and like listen to what's going on. And um, it's difficult to get into at first. A lot of people have trouble getting over the vocals, and it's just like extreme guitars, extreme drums, extreme vocals, all that kind of stuff. But I think that's what I love about it so much. It's an underground thing. Not everyone's into it. All that kind of stuff. And then what sets This Divided World apart from other bands in the Christian metal scene? For one, This Divided World's a studio metal band. Um, there's not a whole ton of that going on. Um, two, um, probably just really being dedicated to putting out brutal music. There's not really as many of that. There's definitely some good bands out there. Obviously, like bands like Impending Doom are leading the charge, but then there's also really awesome like um, unsigned or like underground bands like Order of Elijah, Body Divided, Adelaide, bands like that that are doing really good brutal Christian music. Ryan asks, what is your favorite instrument to play? I actually do play some piano. I play some drums. I kind of pretend to play some bass. And obviously I play guitar, and that's my favorite instrument to play. I've played it the longest. I feel like I can actually express what I want to say best in that. Not like perfectly, but it's like if you spoke 5 different languages, whatever is your native language, you would probably be best at that. And for me, that's guitar. Okay, Shane asks, "What's my favorite metal band? Doesn't matter if it's Christian or secular." It's kind of tough to say. Like, if I could only listen to one metal band for the rest of my life, like all their albums, I might have to go with As I Lay Dying, but it's really tough to say. Just straight up metal band. Yeah, I'm gonna go with As I Lay Dying. I don't know if that's my real answer, but it's close enough. Matt asks, "Do you like pizza?" I love pizza. In my senior year of high school, I pretty much ate pizza every day of my life, and I love pizza. I love good pizza. I'm from New York. I have to. Another question from Shane. What do you think of the Faceless? Never got into them. Don't really listen to them. Heard them here and there. Nothing that amazed me, or I don't know. I just have no real opinion on them. Um, Marcelo Camela Garcia. I don't know if that's how you say that, but your thoughts on the Christian metal scene as it is today? Um, thing I really love about Christian metal scene is um, bands like For Today and bands like um, Sleeping Giant that are uh, adamant about being open and honest and really just like talking about Jesus. And then also bands like Gideon that they live for God, they're followers of Christ, but they don't they're not as vocal about it. I guess I'd throw As I Lay Dying in there as well. That there needs to be both sides represented, and it's like not as in your face or whatever. Like I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but it's just like it's there. It's how they live their life, and people see that and people notice that. And I think that's awesome. Probably the most disappointing thing is just bands that are tearing the scene apart. Not to mention any names or anything like that. It's not really worth it. But just bands that I mean, Christians are all hypocrites to some degree, and I mean, um, we are all not perfect, but it's one thing to be working through your difficulties, your struggles, or whatever, and be honest about it and do it when you're not on a stage. But it's another thing to be on a stage and to say, like Paul did in the New Testament, basically mimic me as I mimic Christ, or follow me as I follow Christ. But then when you're off stage, to be a poor example. And um, I think bands like that are tearing the scene apart, and that's probably the most disappointing thing for me, for the Christian metal scene. People that are not representing God in an honest way. Billy Williams, who is your biggest inspiration in terms of like music? Um, I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways I can answer that. Um, the band that made me wanna express like vocally music as a whole is Dashboard Confessional, which is like an acoustic, like emo kind of thing. Um, that's what made me realize that I had something in me that I wanted to get out, like express creatively and artistically and all that kind of stuff. But then there's been other stages. I got another video on that. Nate asked a similar question to what I answered before. Are you going to try different metal styles to test out different things since you're a one-man band, or are you going to keep the Survivor World at its current state? Compared to When Darkness Reigns, the new release is going to be faster, heavier. I know everyone says that, right? They always say it's gonna be heavier and faster and darker and all that kind of stuff, but it really is. I have most of it written. It's gonna be super brutal, um, kind of leaving the metalcore stuff behind. But I'm not really gonna change like as a whole big time. Mark Dixon asks who/what has influenced you to start writing music. Kind of like I said, Dashboard Confessional, and just like listening to music and being like, um, realizing that I had something that I wanted to say, and I think that's probably what inspires most people, anyways, is wanting to like get something out there. Shane again, blah 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 blah. Let's say, what do you think of Djent? Um, as a genre, or however you want to say that, I don't really think, um, I don't think Djent is gonna stick around for a long time as a whole, but I think Djent parts are gonna stick around. I think it'll be like this big thing, and then eventually it's gonna boil down to like the main ideas or whatever that Djent is, and it's gonna get folded into something else. I don't think it's gonna stay its whole own thing. But then again, people probably said that about Deathcore, so I guess we'll see. Ryan from God's Love for Hardcore asked, does your pastor rock? Oh, does he rock This Divided World? No, he does not rock This Divided World. He does rock though. He's an awesome dude. Ryan asks, what's your favorite non-metal genre? I guess like acoustic, emo kind of stuff like that. I listen to a lot of the older bands. Not consistently, but here and again, I listen to a lot of the bands that I used to listen to like 5 years ago. So that emo screamo kind of stuff. Shane asks, is there a limit to how many questions I can ask? And considering I've already answered about 3 of his questions, no, there's not. And here's another one. If you could meet any metal legend, alive or dead, who would it be? I'm not really into, I kind of said this before, I'm not into metal legends, I'm not into rock star mentalities. I kind of despise that, and I never want to be that, which is why I'm kind of making like these videos and stuff. Sorry, I'm adjusting the laptop, but I always kind of hated that, and I always thought if I ever get in a band that's like big enough, I'm always gonna stay connected to the fans and let everyone know that I'm just a normal dude. So, but I'll tell you one person I would always I've always wanted to have a conversation with is Tom Green from Sleeping Giant. Seems like an awesome dude. Uh, Billy Williams, what is your opinion on the current state of the church in general? Such a huge question. I'll try and like be really concise on it. A lot of people that are into metal and stuff like that they don't really support the church, or they separate themselves from the church. I don't. I love the church. I support the church. I'm involved in the church. I believe there's a purpose for the church. Um, if you think that there's not, then I think you should consider rereading the New Testament, and I think you should re-evaluate your heart on that. Um, People have been hurt by the church. the church has a long history um, of hurting people, of doing things that are not, that specifically went against Jesus, um, that were self-motivated, not of God. But that doesn't really say anything about Jesus, Christianity, or God in general, because it's just the same as the history of humanity anyways, which is to say that man is selfish and he does um, whatever he wants. And so I love the church, I support the church. I think the church is in some ways getting into dangerous territory where they love experience more than anything. And trust me, I've had experiences that I know God's given me that no man could, and it's important to have experiences. But we gotta hold true to the Bible and the teaching and stuff like that. So I love the church. Casey asked top 5 deathcore albums of all time. These are, I'm gonna give you my musical opinions, not necessarily related to lyrical content or like the direction or focus message of the band. Number 1, Suicide Silence, The Cleansing. I think it's probably the number 1 deathcore album of all time, even though it does get old to listen to the whole thing. But Oceano, Depths, you gotta listen to that. I mean, they in a huge way popularized deathcore, in my opinion. Suffocate, No Mercy, No Forgiveness. Some people might not consider that deathcore, but I do. They're a little bit more. It's very hardcore and very death metal put together, which I guess is right. Impending Doom, The Serpent, awesome album. Listen to it beginning to end. And then my last one is either Rose Funeral, The Wrestling Sonata, that influenced my writing a lot, or Bring Me Horizon, Lessons. And last question I'm going to answer for this video is, are any of your lyrics inspired by the Holy Spirit? And then the second part is, do you personally believe this is the generation God is calling forth for revolution and revival? Okay, first one, are any of your lyrics inspired by the Holy Spirit? Yes, because I'm a Christian and because that means being born again, being born of Spirit, and it's not to say that everyone doesn't have a spirit, but it's a as Jesus said, do you not know what manner of spirit you are? And so, as Christians, we are of the manner of spirit of God, which is to say the Holy Spirit. So, we're spiritual beings. Everyone is, to a degree, a spiritual being, but it's a matter of where does your spirit come from? So, when I write, yes, they are, but really it's an audience-driven thing. So, I write songs that I think will for the people that need to hear them, so for Christians and non-Christians. And do you personally believe this is the generation God is calling forth for revolution and revival? Revolution and revival, to a large degree, are kind of dirty words in my book, just because they're used so much that they almost mean nothing. I'll say this: I've heard both Tom of Sleeping Giant and Matt of For Today. I think they're leading quote unquote revolution and revival in a real way, because um, they're calling people to real repentance and to really living for God. A band that I think is trying to lead revolution and revival and is completely failing because they're missing the point is The Great Commission. And I don't say that specifically to be hurtful to them, but as part of the church body, I think they're doing more, not necessarily more harm than good, but I think they could be doing more good instead of putting themselves at odds with the church. And then just 3 quick questions that I'm not going to answer here just because I want to make separate videos about them. Is Noah asks, what is your opinion on listening or not listening to secular music if you're a Christian? I answered that in a face-to-face video, and I'll put the link below. Dan Finch basically asks, what's your opinion on the fact how you think deathcore / metal music can be Christian and possibly worship and bring Christians to the place of worshiping God, and he had a whole big thing on his opinion on it. I'll actually make a whole separate video on that, and also my buddy Matt asked me, please inform me how you use and stuff, and so I'll answer those last two kind of as a conglomerate in a separate video. But anyways, I know it's a gigantic video. I might have to break it up into two separate parts. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll probably make another one of these at some point. But these were that was probably 25-30 questions. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.